friends, 2 time zones, and a shared love of stories.
I'm Freya.
And I'm Jamie.
Bridging time zones 1 chapter at a time.
Welcome to Once Upon a Time Zone. Hello everyone, welcome back to Once Upon a Time Zone. In today's episode, we are really going to be embracing that time zone idea because we're going to have a little chit chat on our different reading experiences across the world. So my reading experience in Canada and Freya's reading experience in Australia. We're just gonna, chit chat, dive into some reading habits that might have been formed or shaped due to where we live, like where we buy books. Because I don't know where you buy books. I have no idea. And into stuff, maybe in-person stuff as well, like book events, book clubs, kind of the bookish community in our different countries across the world. So just going to be a little fun chit-chat episode today.
I'm excited to dive into this. I think it's kind of a niche topic. We don't really talk about how bookish communities are different across the world. So I'm excited to discuss today. And I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts below as well. If it's similar or different, wherever you guys are in the world.
Yeah, it's something I feel like we don't really think about too often, but I'm definitely curious. I have so many questions. So if you're kind of following along in this chit chat with us and you have something stands out to you that's a similar experience that you have in your country or a different experience, definitely let us know. I want to learn what it's like to be a reader everywhere. But first of all, current reads. What are you currently reading?
My one, I am so excited. I just started this and it is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I got an early copy of it. The arc I got for it is stunning as well. I don't know why, but I think Ali Hazelwood always has these amazing arcs. At least the UK editions of her arcs are always so pretty. And they're literally my prized possession on my bookshelf because I'm just obsessed with them. So I'm currently reading that one and I'm only a little bit in, but I'm having so much fun. There's something about the way Ali Hazelwood writes a paranormal kind of romance that is just so fun. It's so different as well. I feel like whenever I read paranormal romances, usually there's quite a big plot, but in the nicest way possible. I feel like Ali Hazelwood, Bride, it didn't have that much of a plot. You were pretty much just there for the romance and they happened to be paranormal.
It's just kind of vibes in the best way. But how does this one compare to Bride?
I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm definitely having fun. It's definitely a little bit different, but the characters, we already kind of know some of the characters. So I feel like it's kind of a little bit of a continuation. It's a fun. I don't want to speak too soon because I'm only 3-4 chapters in. It's very early days. But at the moment it's fun. I'll update you next week on whether it's topping Bride or not. It will take a lot to top Bride, I must say, because I did really enjoy Bride. And I don't think I've read an Ali Hazelwood book that's gone up to that level before. So if it does, that's pretty cool.
Wow. Yeah. That's really fun, actually.
It is. What are you currently reading?
I actually just finished Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. So I did continue the Red Rising series. And I will say everyone was right. The second book is actually so much better. It feels like a different series. I can't even really believe it's from the same world, kind of, because it feels so different. I feel like in Red Rising, because we were in this sort of trial simulation environment, kind of, it was still high stakes, but everything kind of felt made up and fake to me, kind of.
Yeah.
But in the second book, we actually get into the real world, or worlds, because it's space. But we get into more real stuff, real politics, real scheming, real alliances. And there's also a really, really, really amazing theme of friendship throughout the entire book. And that kind of is a main theme. It's learning how to trust your friends and let people in and stuff. So I definitely liked it a lot more than Red Rising. So there's that.
Can I ask your rating?
So it's not, I struggled to give it a 5-star. I think in theory it is a 5-star. I gave it a 4.75 because
that is still so high from you. That's
so
a good book.
Yeah, and especially after coming off the first book and not really loving it so much, I was like, that really
Yeah.
turned it around. I think my one block still is this is like kind of a shallow like opinion of me from me, but I just feel like I don't like space wars. Which like I like space books because I've liked like the space books I've read this year, but I like the more of the science and technology and the isolation behind it, the psychology behind space books. And then for war books, I tend to like fantasy war books. But for
Yeah.
some reason, when there's like spaceships involved and like fighting spaceships, that aesthetic like does I don't know, I just don't really love it. So that's why I was like, okay, it's a 4.75. But really it's a 5. Like the story and the
Yeah.
writing and how it's told is a 5. It's just me being a little bit silly with not loving Space Wars.
Okay, well now I just feel like I have to continue the series. I was so set on being like, no, I'm not a sci-fi person. I'm not gonna like this series. But now that like you didn't even like Red Rising that much.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Maybe once I've read a few more sci-fi and like I'm getting into that. I must say I have been seeing Pierce Brown on TikTok. I think he just got TikTok or something.
He did.
And his videos and the way he explains his writing process and his worlds are really intriguing me. And that's kind of making me go, oh, maybe maybe I just didn't appreciate it enough. Maybe I was just caught up in my I don't like sci-fi mindset and I didn't let that mindset expand to appreciate it.
Yeah, I think once you feel it, you feel it. And he kind of creates like one of those worlds where it feels like such a world. Like there's different slang that they use,
Yeah.
different like terminology, all the culture is so different that like it kind of has kind of a cult following, if you can even call it that, because it's really like
yeah.
popular, but people speak in like the Red Rising terminology. Like
So it's like
people
Lord of
say-
the Rings level.
yeah, like I've
Like
been
Elvish.
seeing, yeah, like comments of people being like bloody damn or like gory, what glory, what or what is it? I don't remember what it is. I just finished the book or like my good man, like stuff like that, which is all slang
That's
in the
so
book.
funny. Yeah.
So once you like get it, like once you get into it, it's like fun because you're like, okay, now I'm in this world and I
Okay.
understand what everyone's saying.
Okay, yep, that definitely makes me more excited about continuing it. Maybe I will. Maybe that'll be in my week of sci-fi.
Yeah, because you still need to do that. We're all still waiting.
Yeah, the books are getting collected, guys. They're getting collected.
They are getting collected. That's actually a really good segue into our first little
Yeah.
time zone discussion. Where do we buy books? I don't know anything about Australian bookstores, so please give me a lesson.
So I feel like we kind of have one that is our equivalent to like Barnes and Noble. We don't have anything that big. I don't know if that's just an American kind of thing and it's different in the UK because obviously I think the Works is over there. But we don't have anything that big. Dimmicks is kind of our biggest bookstore and they have kind of major stores throughout all the major cities in Australia. But that's, I would say, probably one of our only chain bookstores that's across the whole of Australia. The other ones are kind of more state specific. So my favorites is a little one called Readings, which is I went to in my recent vlog and I love them because they have the ladders that you can like, their bookshelves are like to the roof and you have the ladders that you can climb up to get the books and like be moving and everything. I just love the vibe so much. We honestly kind of have a lot of bookstores, but they're usually within chains or they're just little independent bookstores. It's usually Readings, Dimmicks, or little independent bookstores. So we don't have any ones from the UK because I do think Australia is usually pretty intertwined with the UK in terms of books. Like similar publishers do similar books, obviously covers, everything like that. But we don't have the same bookstores at all. And I'm pretty sure they're a lot more expensive over here.
Interesting. How much
Yeah.
is a book? Like a general paperback or a hardcover?
It used to be cheaper, but it's recently gone up to usually about $23 a book. It used to be $19. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. Like, that's okay for a single book. But now you're lucky if you find one at like $23 is, I'd say, the standard price.
How much is that in American? I feel like we need to convert.
Yeah, we should. It's usually about like half, isn't it? Maybe a little bit more.
Oh, is it that much?
Yeah, I think so.
That's 15 American dollars, 15.34.
So from what I know, that's cheaper than a lot of the books. Whenever I've had friends go over to the States and I'm like, oh, can you get me this paperback and this paperback in the American paperbacks? And they're like, Freya, they're like 25 USD. And I was like, okay, just get one. That's fine.
Yeah, like to me, that sounds like a really good price.
Yeah, I thought it was expensive, but now I'm starting to realize that it's not that bad.
Yeah, you have it lucky over there.
Yeah. When you come here one day, you just need to like stack up on books.
I'll stock up. Yeah. Do you have any like, because I know in the States they have like half-price books and stuff like that. Do you have any discount bookstores?
Not really. We have, I think, one, but that's usually like damaged books. And they're very, very rare. I can't even think of what the name is off the top of my head. I don't usually go there. Usually, like, I mean, we'll have sales within Dymocks. They might do like at the end of the year, especially because they always have their kind of top 100 reads. And so they'll be like, buy two, get the third free from the top 100 reads. I feel like that's a pretty common deal around all Dymocks stores. So we kind of have that, but we don't really have any like outlets or anything. Which I'm very curious to hear what book shopping's like over there now with like the prices and everything. So where do you do your main book shopping?
So I guess kind of like the big bookstore, the equivalent of the Barnes and Noble in Canada is Indigo. It used to be Indigo and Chapters and Kohl's, but then Indigo just kind of swallowed up everything. So then all of the Chapters and all of the Kohl's all turned into Indigo. And I think there are still Chapters and maybe some Kohl's that still exist throughout Canada, but they're like still like kind of slowly being absorbed into Indigo. So that's like kind of the big main bookstore, and I want to compare it to Barnes and Noble, but I have actually also never actually gone to a Barnes and Noble. That's still on my bucket list. I really, really want to just hop over the border, go to Barnes & Noble and experience it. But so I don't know like in terms of size, how it compares, but from what I've seen in videos and stuff, Barnes still seems way bigger than Indigo. Yeah. But that's our biggest one. And then there are lots of like independent bookstores outside of that, which I love visiting. In Toronto specifically, I'm going to give a shout out, give a couple of shout outs. There's Hopeless Romantic Books, which is like my favorite. Like it's our only really specialty romance bookstore. So they focus on romance and romantasy, and it's just one of those really cute pink bookstores. So I love that one. They're actually moving into a new like bigger location soon, which is so exciting. I'm gonna have to go to their new location when it opens. I think if anyone lives in Toronto,
reading some like book vlogs there, because I think I remember watching one and being like, oh my gosh, that is the cutest store.
I did. Yeah. So I actually, I think it was around Valentine's Day. I DM'd the owner. She's like amazing. And I was like, do you want to like pick me some romance books to read for like a Valentine's romance theme video? And so she picked she picked four romance books for me. And that was a really, really fun week of reading. So yeah, I did vlog a little bit in their store. And when they moved to their new store, I actually want to do another video with them. So yeah, if you're around Toronto.
That would be so cute.
Maybe you'll see me there. So that's one of my favorites. And then, yeah, we have a bunch of other ones. We have Type Books, which is great. We have Neverland, which I actually haven't gone to yet, but it looks really, really nice and I want to go. And yeah, I don't know. We just have a lot of like little specialty ones. I went to one that was like fantasy and sci-fi only. There's one that's like horror only. It's called Little Ghost something, but it's only horror books. So there's a lot of like little cute themed ones too. Yeah. So yeah, lots of little fun ones to go to. And then outside of that, we do have Book Outlet, which is like my heaven. So they used to have a physical store, but they closed down the physical store, sadly. And they actually closed it down before I could go because I heard of them. And I was like, oh, let's go. It's a little bit outside of Toronto, or it was. But I just never like found the time to go to like get out there, and then it closed before I could ever go. So that was sad, but they still operate online, and it's basically just like a book warehouse where they get overflow of books. Some of them might be slightly damaged, and by damaged I mean like there's just like a little marker on them or something. I've never gotten one that's like horrible, but they're at like a highly, highly discounted rate. So that's where I do all my like
That's
big
so
book
good.
hauls.
And so, like, how much is a normal book? Like, if you were just going to buy a normal paperback? That's what I'm
Okay.
curious to know. I might get out my conversion to see what the AU do.
I know, yeah. You do the conversion. So a paperback, I want to say, is like maybe 25 Canadian, but a hardcover is $40 Canadian. Oh, and it
Okay, so you're
hurts.
still like it says 27 Australian dollars. So still a little bit more than us for a basic paperback.
Yeah, how much American is that?
Yeah, about, 19. Wait,
Yeah,
I put
so like
I put
19
27. Yeah,
US.
18. Yeah.
And then for hardcover, $30 American.
I'm curious to know if we have any like obviously I'm sure we have some American viewers, what like the basic price for a paperback, because I mean I've only had a few friends go over there and I don't trust their validation on like who knows where they were looking on like what the basic paperback price is, because I'm kind of confused, like I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I had it in my head that it would be cheaper. I don't know where that came from. I think I'm thinking of the UK, because I think in UK books are definitely... Have you seen those TikToks where they're like what $100 gets you in different countries? And the UK, it's always
books.
like 6 or 7 books. And I was like, that's crazy.
That's two hardcovers over here in Canada. Yeah, $100.
I will say, I feel like our hardcovers are only a few dollars less. I think they're about usually like 39, so almost 40, but still that's probably less than, like, it's still a few dollars less than what you guys are paying.
Yeah,
That's
and
like
the thing
a crazy
is,
amount.
Yeah, and all new releases, well, most new releases come in hardcover only for like the first year of release. So if you want to read a new book, you have to spend the $40 if you want to buy the book.
That is also a great segue. That's a great segue into our next little like dot point anyway of chats about like release dates and everything. So yeah, you guys only have the hardcover books when it's initially released, which, I mean, I love a hardcover book, but I want the option to buy a paperback. That's kind of crazy to me. And always whenever I post a TikTok of a newly released book, everyone always goes like, how did you get this paperback version of it? And I was like, this is just what we have. This is just like the basic, because we get like the kind of bigger paperback version and then it will go down to the small a year or two later. And, you know, I'll be complaining being like, oh, I have to do the expensive paperback. It's like $27. I really shouldn't complain.
Yeah, no, it's always hardcover first. And yeah, sometimes I get the same questions because I'll get arcs of books sometimes and the arcs come in paperbacks.
Yeah.
So then everyone will be like, where'd you get the paperback? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't, I have nothing, no useful information for you. But yeah, hardcover first. So it kind of forces us, like if we want to own the book, we have to spend that $40.
Yeah, that's a little bit harsh. That's a bit rough. It makes it a little bit hard to like, and especially with new releases as well, unless you are going to read it on your Kindle, it's not like you can borrow it at the library or something, because those will probably be checked out like months in advance.
Yeah, and it's always great to use the library. I don't use it nearly enough, but I think like if you can, you should. But yeah, it's like I'll always hear people like, because my book club pick on Fable for this past month was Catabasis. And then I've had people be like, I'm trying, like I want to read it this month, but I'm like 300th in line. That's probably an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But yeah, then it's like you have to wait for so long. And then like, how long is that really going to be? You never know. Like you never know how many people are going to skip the line or like return it early or cancel their hold.
Or
like,
not. You don't
know.
Wait and just like hold on to it just because why not?
And then you get to it when you get to it.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for mood readers, honestly. It makes it a hard life for a mood reader. If you just really want to read it straight away, that's definitely a lot more difficult. I love when my friends will actually be like reading a new release and we can just like pass the copy round once we've read it. That's like something I absolutely love to do. Although, you know, you have to pick who you're trusting your books with.
Yeah, I'm not trusting
thing.
everyone around my little
it's a big decision.
In terms of like special editions, what do you have available in Australia?
I think they're becoming a little bit more common, but I would say until the last few months, we would rarely have a sprayed edge. You would get them now and then in bookstores, but it would be very, very random. Like there's one, The Secret Life of Addie LaRue, And that is the first special edition that's coming to mind, because for some reason it's in like every single bookstore I go to. And I'm like, that's great. But that is literally the only one I've seen. It's really random. And yeah, so like an actual hardcover special edition, I think is quite hard to come by. Starting to become a little bit more common, but again, you're only going to get it at like Dimmicks, like it's a special Dimmicks edition, or, you know, readings. You're not going to get them at a lot of bookstores, as they're pretty rare.
Right.
And in terms of like sprayed edges, that's only just becoming a thing here, to be honest. You still, I would say it's pretty rare to find a sprayed edge book. I think romance books, for some reason, maybe they're like easier to produce or something, but they're starting to get more sprayed edges randomly.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
we're
I feel
seeing
like the
that.
fantasy, it makes more sense for me. But anyway.
It does, but yeah, you're right. Like like here as well. Like I'm seeing a lot more romance special editions, so there'll be paperbacks because usually romances come out in paperbacks, which is like the one exception to the hardcover rule. But yeah, we're getting all these like little paperback romances with sprayed edges, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I need that. I don't know.
Because sprayed edges are definitely a lot more common over there, aren't they?
They are. They're kind of everywhere. Like if you go into any bookstore, it'll just be sprayed edges. Like if you want a non-sprayed edge, it's harder to find. Especially
That's
for newer
bizarre.
releases. Yeah, like if you want to buy a newly released book, it's going to be a sprayed edge. If you want a plain edge, too bad. Like you're not getting it. Wait like 6 months and then maybe you can find the plain edge. But yeah, lots
And
lots of sprayed edges.
is that like been in the most, like in the last year, would you say? Or is that
Yeah.
kind of been a thing for a while?
No, it's definitely really recent. Like it used to be just really kind of like hyped up books or special books or 10th anniversary editions or whatever, but now it's literally every single book. Even if it's just
Yeah.
a plain sprayed edge, which I don't really like those anymore. Yeah, everything's sprayed.
It's really bizarre that it's caught on so much, because I love a special edition sprayed edge. Like I think when you have like the actual book is a special edition and then in combination with sprayed edges can look amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, like the few that I have read, sometimes the like ink like starts fading on the actual book and it might like get on your fingers or whatever. And it
Yeah.
just kind of, as soon as it does start fading, it makes the book look a lot less cool. It kind of looks a little bit shabby and I'm like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it looks like a home like art project gone wrong.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of like you just tried to like paint it yourself. Like that's what it would look like.
Literally.
I'm a fan when it's done well, but yeah, they're just kind of everywhere at this point in Canada.
And in terms of like release dates, we didn't chat too much about that. So do yours, I'm trying to figure out like how, if it would be that different. Now and then we will have for, I think it was Ruthless Vows, for example. I think it was that. Oh, wait, no. The Crimson Moth, the second book for the Crimson Moth, or the Heartless Hunter. You guys got it like, I'm talking 2-3 months before we did. We didn't get it for months afterwards. Like, I don't think we got it till like May, I want to say. It was a really delayed release, and that only happens rarely. But yeah, sometimes that can like really be annoying and interfere with book release dates, because you want to be reading, everyone else is reading this book, or at least a lot of people are reading the book, and you're just sitting there being like, I can't even have access to it. It's not like I just chose to not buy it. I literally cannot even find it.
Oh, that's so interesting. Our release dates, I think, like pretty much align with American release dates.
Yeah.
So they're the same. All books in Canada are released on Tuesdays. It's always a Tuesday.
We're the exact same.
Oh.
Which is sometimes a little bit fun because we get it like technically 12 or more hours in advance.
Yeah, I remember it was actually, I think it was the Onyx Storm release in January this year. I had some friends, I was going with some book club friends to like the midnight release party or whatever. And we got there and I had some friends that had other friends in Australia, and they were like talking about how their friends had already finished the book or had read like most of the book by the time we had our midnight release. And I was like, that was the first time I thought about that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
these books, like, you guys get them first.
Yeah, technically we do. And sometimes they're like a bit harder to find in bookstores. Sometimes it's kind of, I don't know whether that's so that like we kind of line up with you guys more. Like the Tuesday, you're not always going to find it in the bookstore. You might be like lucky if you find it, but you will always be able to get a Kindle version of it or like an ebook of it. So I did it for Sunrise on the Reaping and Releasing 10. I was like, you know what? I don't even mind. This is a ridiculous price for an ebook, but I'm going to buy it anyway. Because I was like, I cannot wait. I went into bookstores and they're like, yeah, we can ship it in for you. And I was like, no. I need this now. I need to read this right now. So I ended up, which was crazy because we got to, like, I think I was a good way through Sunrise and the Reaping. I think that was when we were chatting, actually, when we had just started, before you had even, like, it had even arrived. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, that's so funny. And there are definitely books you have to do that with. Like, I just recently did that with Catabasis, not because they weren't available in store, but because on the day we're recording this, I'm actually going to the RF Kwong event in 2 days, which is fun. So yeah, I am going to her Toronto tour of Catabasis, and so I'm going to be getting my like special edition signed tour stamped copy there. So I still don't have a physical copy of the book, but obviously I was like, I need to read this book immediately because I've been waiting for it for so long. So I got the Kindle version of it first, and I was kind of like crying internally because I was like, why am I paying for 2 copies of this book? But I couldn't wait until like now to read it.
No, 100%. I still haven't gotten Sunrise and the Reaping a physical copy, and I'm like, I need to get it before the end of the year when I'm ranking all my books, because it's going to be like one of my top reads of the entire year. And I'm like, it would just be sad if I only have the Kindle version of that. I just haven't worked up to it yet, because I think it cost me $20 on Kindle for it. So it's basically a paperback price, but I do not have the trophy.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing too. I feel like I get a lot of questions of like why I don't use the library so much. And it truly is like, as someone who makes book videos, it's so much easier to like have that book, to like hold it up in videos, but also to even remember that you read that book, because I don't know about you, like it's hard to remember what I read this year. And yes, you can scroll through like Goodreads or Storygraph or Fable or whatever, but it's so much harder to like go back and scroll versus just sitting here and looking around at what's on your bookshelves, and then you can just pull books from there. I feel like if I didn't make book videos, I'd probably use Kindle a lot more or use the library a lot more, but it just makes life easier when you have the books around you.
It truly does. Before I started making book content, I literally only used the library, and I would just be like, I'd buy a book now and then, but I don't think I wasn't on like Book Talk or anything. I wasn't on book social media, so I didn't feel like that unless I knew an author, I didn't feel the need to be reading all these new releases and everything. So I'd kind of just go to the library and vibe and just pick up what I was in the mood for. But I think now that there's so many books that like I want to read as soon as I can, as soon as they're released or whatever. You can't really get that from the library. Yeah, it makes it a little bit harder. And then I swear every time I'm reading I'm getting into a series, it's usually because everyone else is getting into it as well. And that means, again, even if it's published back in like 2000, it will be out of stock at the library.
Yeah, I kind of miss those days where you just went to the library and picked up books based off vibes, not knowing anything about them. But
you weren't even judging either. You just had fun. You were like, this is a terrible book. I am having so much fun.
Yeah. But I mean, it is fun now also in different ways, like just having people,
of course,
that you can like read books with each other and talk about them with each other. It is a lot of fun. But going back to a release
podcast together.
yeah, start a podcast together. But back to release dates. In terms of seasonal releases, this is what I'm always so curious, because I feel like in the summer, like all of these like summer romances tend to come out, and then in the fall and winter, all these kind of more gothic or fantasy or like whatever, like atmospheric books come out. So in Australia, how does that affect you? And then also, are there Australian authors that then release like summer books in Australian summer, like properly for you?
Let me put it this way. Seasonal releases suck for us. They suck so bad. Even this time of the year, so it's coming up to spooky season. it's getting warmer for us. We're in spring at the moment. It's starting to warm up. And Halloween is not nearly as big in Australia. Like, it is not celebrated very much at all. You might get the odd pumpkin here or there, like down our street or something. You might get like 1 or 2 kids trick-or-treating, which I love Halloween as a holiday. I'm really sad that it's not bigger. But it's really not. And so getting all these spooky releases whilst it's starting to get warmer feels odd, number one. And like, that's why I kind of try and read them earlier, because it's still a little bit cold at the moment. So I've been kind of trying to read the spooky season releases as soon as I can, to get them in the vibe, because when it actually gets to Halloween, we're basically like, it's warm. It's not the vibe. And then for summer, we will pretty much be having all winter releases, which for me, look, it doesn't matter too much because a lot of them are fantasy, and I'm just like, great. You know, I feel like January especially, a lot of fantasy books come out, like they kind of drop.
Yeah.
At the end of January, start of Feb. So I'm not like, that's kind of fine for me. It's the winter here, summer over there, that one hurts, because you guys are getting like all these summer romance books from some of my favorite authors, and I'm like, that is the last thing I feel like reading right now, because it'll just reiterate the fact that we are so cold and miserable right here. Yeah. And you guys have a lot of sun. So that's, I think, the main one that really annoys me. I think because I don't read as many romances, it probably helps a little bit. But in terms of Australian authors, I will say, I don't know whether it's just publishing houses or anything, but I myself don't know too many Australian authors, and a lot of the Australian authors I know are fantasy authors. So I don't know. It doesn't, like Sarah Parker from When the Moon Hatched. She's Australian. Yeah. And so like her releases are coming to mind, and I feel like, to be honest, they kind of align with like US, UK seasonal rather than Australia, because that's like out the bigger audience. So it makes sense. You know, it makes sense. It's just a little bit of a heartbreak.
Yeah. For romance books, do you like read them right away? Like, do you tend to read them when they release, or are you like, no, I'm going to wait 6 months?
Usually I actually do wait 6 months. I'm not even kidding. There's some that, unless it's like an author I really, really love, like, I don't know that you would say Taylor Jenkins Reid is a romance author, but, you know, like, I guess contemporary fiction. But if I really wanted to be in the mood, I could have waited till summer for that one. But I was like, absolutely not. But then there's other books. I think the newest Lauren Asher book recently came out, and that's in a series I'm reading. And I was going to pick it up, and then I was like, actually, no, this is like the perfect summer read. I'm just going to pick this up in summer. So I kind of do wait for them. Unless they're like an actual anticipated author that I just absolutely physically cannot deny.
Yeah.
I usually wait till summer, because it just hits better. Like when you're reading by the beach or by the water or whatever, it's so nice.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely tricky, because I do get that feeling, and I think you get it too, where you want to be reading what everyone else is reading. But then, yeah, like there are some books that need to be read outside. Like, some books, I'm like, if I read this indoors, I would hate this book. But I love it because I was like at the beach.
Literally. So does it, I feel like it aligns pretty well with you, doesn't it? Seasonal releases.
Yeah, like the world caters to us. Yeah, no, I feel like seasonal releases tend to align very, very well. The one thing that's a little bit weird sometimes is arcs, which is kind of our next topic that we wanted to talk about. So we're like really smoothly segueing into all of our little topics. But with arcs, because, you know, when you get an arc, you usually tend to get them like the season before it actually comes out. Sometimes I'm like, I get an arc and like, oh, I really want to read this right now, but it would hit so much harder in a few months. And sometimes I give in and I just read it anyways, and then sometimes I wait until the book actually comes out, but then it kind of defeats the purpose of getting an arc, and then I kind of feel bad because the publisher sent you that book because they wanted an early review, but then sometimes you just don't get to it in time, or you purposefully don't read it yet, which you know, may not be the best thing to do. But like,
no,
for example,
definitely makes sense.
Yeah, like for example, I just got the fake skater arc. Is that what it's called? It's a Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. It's like
Oh, yes.
it's her
Yeah.
new like figure skating YA romance. And I got that book like last month or 2 months ago. And I was like, it's the middle of summer. Like, I'm excited to read this, but I don't want to read this right now.
Yeah.
So stuff like that gets a little funny sometimes.
Because I do think you get your arcs in advance, like quite far in advance compared to us. Because usually we're like a month beforehand, so it's not too bad. But I remember like with Wild Reverence, you got that months and months before release. So yeah, maybe they're different timelines. I don't know. I guess it also depends on like physical arcs and e-arcs as well.
Yeah, and it depends on the publisher. Some arcs I receive literally like the week before release, or even sometimes after the release, which is funny because I'll like have an arc on its way, but then because the book's been released, I'll already have like bought a copy for myself.
Yeah.
And then the week later, I get an arc copy, and I'm like, oh, now I have 2 copies of this book because I didn't know I was going to get an arc of it. But yeah, for some reason, sometimes the arc arrives after release. But then sometimes you get the arc like, yeah, months before, like Wild Reference and also like Bury Our Bones. I read that last year.
Yeah.
But everyone
Yeah,
read it
literally.
like June or July when it came out this year. But I was like, I had it in all my like end of the year wrap ups for last year. And like, I feel like it's going to be on so many people's top, whatever, 10 books of this
Yeah.
year. And it's not going to make my lists for this year, but that's only because it was on my lists last year.
You're probably right. It probably does really depend on the publisher, actually.
And so for arcs, what's your process of getting arcs? Like, what is that like in Australia?
This is actually such a good topic because I feel like I always get questions about how to receive arcs and everything. I very much have like a strong relationship with a lot of the publishers in Australia now, which I'm so lucky. But to start that relationship, I literally just emailed them. I found them on social media and found their publicity email, and there was usually like a specific book I had in mind, and I was like, hi, I'm from have this social media, you know, I'm on Book Talk, I'm on Bookstagram, whatever. I would love to request this book for a review, blah 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 blah, here's my shipping details. And it's not 100%, like that doesn't mean you're going to get the arc. Like you kind of just, then if you get a reply, you might not even get a reply, but then it might just turn up on your doorstep. That's what happened with Catabasis. I emailed, I think, a few months before, and they just never replied. And I was like, okay, that's okay. Like it was a long shot. And then one day it just turned up on my doorstep, and I was like, okay, just in shock. So I usually just email them, and then once you kind of get on their publicity list, they send through, I think it's usually 2 to 3 months worth of new releases, and you usually can request up to like 3 or 4 releases that you would love to read. And again, doesn't like secure you a copy. It just kind of depends on like what ones they get as arcs, what ones they send as early releases, because we have arcs, but then we just have early releases of the book, so it's literally the exact same book that's getting traditionally published. You just get it a week before or something. So yeah. It's a pretty straightforward process, but you do kind of have to like push a little bit to get to that point. I remember when I first started on my social medias, I was like, how is everyone getting all these arcs? Like, I want to read that book so bad. And I just was like emailing. And then once they get to know that you actually read the arcs that you get and you're actually, you know, a reader and you're not just tossing them aside or whatever, then I feel like they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to send Freya this book. And I always get sent fantasy books over romance arcs or something because obvious reasons.
It sounds similar. Like we have like our Canadian branches of publishers, and then they'll have contact information. You can email them. Some of them have public links that you can use to sign up for their newsletters.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's similar. Like every few months you'll get an email listing all of their releases for like the next season, and you can request. Sometimes you're limited. Sometimes you can request like as many as you want. I think Bloomsbury, you can only request 1 a month. And then most of the other ones like have maybe a limit of 5, or some of them are even unlimited. But then, you like, I've never gotten a reply except from Hatchet. They tend to email back, but they don't even say like if you're gonna get the arc. They just like email back saying, thanks, we got your request. And then everyone else just like ghosts you until 3 months later when a book shows up on your doorstep and you're like, oh, cool. I didn't know I was getting this.
Literally. I know, it's a nice little surprise. It's like, It always like makes my week, honestly, when an arc turns up. I get so excited.
Yeah, it does, because you're never expecting it. Like, because you never get a reply, you never get a confirmation. It's like, yeah, I don't know, I requested this, but who knows if it'll ever turn up.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it does, and it's the best day ever.
I feel like that also segues again into online communities, our next point, which I really am curious about this one, like online communities in the book space, I guess, social media, everything like that. Do you think Canada differs from, like, say, the US or anything like that? Like, are there specific things about, I don't know, creating in Canada, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, first of all, if we're going to talk like platform specific, if we want to get technical with online stuff, we don't get the same creator funds that that everyone gets in the US. So like TikTok creator fund doesn't exist over here. Instagram creator, whatever it's called, doesn't exist here. So all of those Instagram posts, TikTok posts, we're doing it for free. We are not making money off any of this.
I'm not sure that people like realize that all the time, because I always, like, you know, I will get DMs and stuff from me like, how much are you making from like TikTok or whatever? And it's like, guys, I do this for free. Like, I love chatting to you. Like, all of these videos, I think Emmy posted a while ago talking about paid partnerships, and when she was like talking book specific, because, you know, usually I feel like I'll talk about a bunch of books in one video. Now and then I'll do like a little reading update. But when you're like talking book specific, I feel like people automatically assume like, oh, they're getting paid for this, or it's a partnership or whatever. And Emmy was like, no, like, unless it's labeled ad or partnership, we're not getting paid at all. All of our content's created for free. So, you know, and if we are getting paid, you guys should engage. Like, it really helps us out. And I was like, that's such a like good thing to vocalize, because I feel like people don't realize that.
Yeah, and people don't realize also how much work it is, because it looks like a lot of fun, like just talking about books and posting them on the internet. And yes, it is very fun, and like, so I'm so grateful always, like, to be able to do this, but it's so much work behind the scenes. And I've kind of been sharing some of that with like some of my recent vlogs of like week in the life of a booktuber or whatever, just kind of giving an actual realistic, like, what does a week in my life look like? It's me sitting here at my desk at my computer editing. Like, you film a video for however long, like maybe it takes an hour to film like a long sit down video for YouTube, let's say, and then it takes you like 5 to 6 hours to edit that one video. So it's like, you're not just sitting and talking about books and just reading, like, you know, living your life.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much work behind it. And then outside of that, like, you need to brainstorm ideas, and you need to like kind of get ahead. Like, it's September and I'm already planning Bookmas. Like, I'm already trying to like make my schedule and like make sure I'm like, you know, good to like post, because that is such an aggressive posting schedule for Bookmas in December. But there's so much behind the scenes, and yeah, it's like emails, admin work, like all this stuff. So on one hand, yes, it's fun, and like, it's obviously like, that's why we do this, like what we do, and continue to stick with it. But there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even posting short form content, like, it will take you, you know, 20 minutes to film, like to get set up and to kind of film as much as you want to film, like TikToks, let's say, or Reels. And then like the editing process of that takes a while. Like, it's a 1 minute to 2 minute video, and it takes a good like 15 minutes at least to like just cut it down to what you want, and then you edit it on top of that. Like, it's not exactly a super like transferring if you film on your camera, everything like that. There's a lot, I think, that goes on behind the scenes that you just don't think about. And again, I do it because I love it. Like, obviously, we're not going to be like being like, oh, I have to make another like book Instagram post today. My life sucks. Like, love doing it. Love talking to you guys. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more work, I think, than, yeah, you kind of realize. And I love that you've been sharing more of your like just week to week, especially because you've like committed to it so much recently. I've been loving seeing that, and I think it's really important to see the behind the scenes of everything, all the little things that go wrong. Like, for example, I think I said a while ago, like when I had my like recording just not work, like things like that, you kind of have to account for those kind of things. And you just, you don't really think about it until it happens to you.
Yeah, and even stuff like for this podcast recording, like, because we live in such different places with different time zones, we started recording this at 7 a.m. your time, which I know you always insist you're a morning person, and I believe you, but like that's still, even for a morning person, that is so early for anyone to wake up, get ready, and be like energetic enough to go on camera at that hour. So, you know,
what you guys aren't. Oh my gosh, here we go again.
Great timing.
I was about to say what you guys aren't seeing is that every like 20 minutes or whatever I've been clearing my voice because it's still warming up. It's still morning voice. It's fine. I am a morning person. I love it. I love it. Tuesday's my favorite.
Yeah, you're just loving your life over here. The funny thing is like in a few months is when the sun is going to start to go down here at like 3 p.m. And then by the 6 p.m. that we're recording, it's going to be so dark here. And I'm going to have to figure out a different lighting situation because I'm not going to have any natural light whatsoever. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
That's crazy as well. And I mean, we can just lean into the moody. We can lean into Halloween. We can lean into Christmas. Put fairy lights up, you know? Go crazy.
Yeah, we'll make it cozy over here on this side. You'll have like all the brightness.
Yeah. I'll be like, my plants are alive again.
Yeah, and I'll just be like in a cave. But in terms of online communities, it's so funny. I keep thinking about this, but I don't actually know that many Canadian online content creators. For some reason, everyone that like pops up on my feed or everyone that I've connected with is either in the States or in Australia or in the UK. And I haven't really made that many Canadian friends, except recently I've like gone to a couple of like publisher influencer events. I hate calling it influencer events because I'm not an influencer.
Content events.
Yeah, book events. And I've sort of started to meet like some Toronto online friends there. So
yeah,
that's been fun. But in terms of like Canadian content creators, I know they exist, but for some reason I'm just not connected with them.
No, I don't know a lot of, if any other Canadian book content creators specifically. Like I know other obviously content creators in Canada, like wellness and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, book specific. You're definitely right. I feel like a lot of the creators I follow are in the UK, especially. Yeah. And then, a lot in the US. And then I have like a lot of people. Actually, there's a lot of Australian people I know. They're definitely like, some people do it as more just like, you know, they aren't as committed to like whatever, all the different platforms or whatever. And they might just have like a little bookstagram that they do part-time. But it's still definitely, I think, a very tight-knit community over here, which is really cool. I think that also is due to how big Australia is. Like I only know like one or two other people who actually live in Melbourne who do this. Everyone else is usually in Sydney or something like that. But I do love being able to like just chat to people within the same time zone sometimes, like, you know, about like seasonal releases and being like, oh damn, this would hit so much better if I was in the sun right now and not like under a cover.
Meanwhile, you just have me over here on the little
and then some
other side of the world.
You'd be like, so I read this summer romance and this summer romance, and I'd be like,
cool. How far or how long does it take to get from one end of Australia to the other end of Australia?
Like a week.
Like driving?
Yeah, like
and
more.
Then, how about flying?
It's like flying, I think if I was to go from like, because I'm pretty much at the bottom of Australia. If I was to go to the top, I think it would take about, I want to say about like 7-8 hours.
Okay.
Don't quote me on it, guys, but I've never actually flown up to the top of Australia, so I'm just going off what my friends have told me. But it's a really big country. Like it's really big and everything is really, really spread out. Like the cities, obviously we have them, but then like all the surrounding towns are really far apart. Like I say my parents are close to me because they live in a neighboring town. They're 2.5 hours away driving. Like they're not that close.
Right.
Yeah, and like getting to, so again, kind of a segue into our next topic, but like book events specifically are usually in Sydney. Sydney is kind of where a lot of authors come, a lot of like, you know, like the Comic-Con kind of festivals, a lot of like big festivals like that are usually in Sydney as well. And so like when I had the Lauren Roberts Festival, I flew up to Sydney to go, or like the meet and greet, I flew up to see her because she just like, they don't usually do, especially influence events always in Sydney. I think though that's very specific to the publishers because a lot of the key publishing houses are based in Sydney. So,
Yeah,
you know,
makes sense.
it makes sense, but it's like an hour and a half flight to Sydney, which is fine. It's tiny, but it does cost. It's not a cheap flight, sadly.
Yeah, what's the drive? Like if you were to drive instead of flying?
About 9 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's like
not
a
great.
commitment. Yeah, it's like you definitely, and that's like no stops, 9 hours. So, you know, probably it's a little bit longer. So yeah, it's a bit of a commitment. You just got to be like, okay, I'm going to block out like this entire week and I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, for the right event, it's worth it.
It totally was worth it for Lauren Roberts, honestly. Although I usually end up being like, I'm going to spend so much on fuel driving anyway. I'm just going to buy the flight.
In terms of like author tours, like, you know, when an author releases a book, they go on tour. How common is it for them to go to Australia?
I think it's becoming a little bit more common, but pretty rare. Like whenever you talk about having seen like V. Schwab and I'm about to see like RF Kuang, like that is so cool to me because we haven't had them ever in Australia. Lauren Roberts coming to Australia was a really, really big deal. Usually it's, we're getting a few romance authors, I think. Like I'm pretty sure Lucy Score is coming to Australia soon. Yeah, I feel like we've been getting more romance authors, so hopefully that'll start to segue into more fantasy authors as well. V. Schwab, please come here.
Sign for V. Schwab.
Yeah,
if you're
please.
listening, if you're for some reason listening, go to Australia.
And come to Melbourne. Don't go to Sydney.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, would most of them be in Sydney? Like, if they did come?
Usually they do both Sydney and Melbourne. Because I feel like they're two of the main cities. Sometimes they do Brisbane as well, which is a little bit further up the coast. Usually they kind of tick off a few cities. But what's it like when they come to Canada? Do they usually just go to Toronto? Like, is it only one city?
I feel like, so we kind of have 3 main hubs, I want to say, for like whenever international events happen. So it's Toronto, and then it's Vancouver, and then it's like somewhere in Quebec. So it's either Montreal or Ottawa or like one of the main cities. Those are like the 3 places I think that most people stop. And then also actually Calgary is starting to get some more things as well recently. But I feel like the first 2 will always be like Toronto or Vancouver, like from my experience for book events. So I think it makes it, I think it's easy. There. Yeah, I think it's easy because a lot of authors will go to New York, and then Toronto is like not that far from New York. So it's like, oh, well, we might as well like just drive up north a little bit and like hit Canada and then like come back down. I think that's usually why it happens. And then it's just, like geographically, we're lucky to be kind of like close-ish to New York. It's still a far drive from New York, but like, like up and down, north and south, we're like kind of aligned.
How long is the flight from New York?
I've actually never flown to New York, but I think the drive is around 10 hours.
Okay, so it's kind of like going to Sydney for us. I'll just have that as an equivalent.
Yeah.
That's like okay. That's kind of crazy.
Not great.
It's like a whole other country though. Like to me that's crazy because Australia is so isolated. Like the fact that I mean, drive to another country, that's amazing.
Because the thing is, Toronto is like south. Toronto is like almost like the most south you can get in Canada. So we can actually hop over the border pretty easily. Like within like 1 to 2 hours, we can get to like a border spot and then just go to, like from Toronto, it would be Buffalo, which is part of New York, but like, you know, it's not New York, New York. So yeah, we tend to get a lot of like author events here, but like kind of more recently, I think. I don't know if it's just because I've been looking more into them recently, but we've started to get those. We've also started to get like kind of the like fantasy balls and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cute. Like, didn't you have like a Fae Fair or something a while ago? Like I think, was it at the start of summer or something?
Yeah, we had, so that was actually by Hopeless Romantic. They did like an ACOTAR 10-year anniversary party. Cute. So we all dressed up like fairies and just like hung out.
So cute.
Yeah, it was just a lovely, fun fairy time. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of those like big fantasy balls just because they're really expensive. And then also for me, okay, this is a personal preference. But when I want to immerse myself and be a fairy for the night, I don't want to like dance to modern music. And like everything that I've seen at those fairy events, it just kind of turns into like a party, like a modern day party at the end. And I'm like, if I'm going to a fairy ball, I want to listen to like the fiddle Tamlin.
Yeah, like medieval. Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to be fully immersed. I want to
so
do like medieval dances. Like I want you to teach me how to do like medieval steps or whatever. So, yeah.
Also, speaking of like fancy balls, this is again very like me specific, but I'm curious to see what you think. You know how they'll have like people come in dressed up as like Rhysand or something, like, you know, that gives me the ick because I'm like, unless you have read this book and you understand the character, like you can't just look at a script for this man. Like unless you know what you're dressing up as right now, I'm icked. I'm cringed out. I'm gone.
Yeah, no, I also am not a fan of them. And like this is, if you love them, I love that for you. I love that you have so much fun with them. But I also think that like when I'm reading a fantasy book, I'm like, no man can be this like fantasy godlike character. Like no man will ever be able to live up. And if they adapt a fantasy into a movie, you know how like there are so many like prosthetics and makeup and like visual effects that go into it that like make these human actors become these ethereal beings. Like no one can be that person in real life. And so if you're just like, I'm Rhysand, I'll just be like, no, you're not. You are a human.
Like, nice try.
You are not living up to the image.
I think that's why like dystopian books and stuff go so well to screen. Like it's so much easier because they're just ordinary people. They're just ordinary people
humans.
living their ordinary lives, and then the world starts to end. So
yeah, it's just PETA.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
PETA.
that's so true though. Fantasy balls, like I was going to say as well, they're not even that common in Australia as well. They're only just starting to get introduced. So I can't even judge. I've never even been to one. Never even seen one.
It's a new thing. And I will say, like, out of all the videos I've seen, everyone looks to be having, like, a lot of fun at them. I just don't know if I would have a lot of fun at them. But that's a me problem.
we're personal problems.
But, yeah, this chat was really fun. I had a lot of questions that were answered.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like I know you even better as a reader.
Yeah, we know each other on a different bookish level. Definitely let us know as well, like if things are different in where you're from. I'm really curious about everything we kind of covered today. So yeah, let us know your thoughts below.
Yeah, on anything. So like price of books, where you get books.
Yeah.
Book events, activities. Do authors come to you? Oh, we didn't talk about book clubs.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I feel like book clubs are kind of universal.
Yeah, they're a thing.
Yeah. They're a thing. They exist. If you are still here listening to the end, thank you for listening wherever you are in the world or whatever time zone you're in.
Until next time, stay comfy and keep reading.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on socials for more bookish content.
Bye. See you next time.